Morning everyone. I am going to do a straight hair tutorial today on how to get big hair, keep it straight, and keep it big at the same time. I get asked all the time by people why my flat ironing stays longer in their hair than when they do it, and then also just how to have flat hair but have volume at the same time. And so I was going to show you how I do my own hair, and it might be a little different based upon the length of your hair, but this is what I do, and you can probably get a few things from it. With that being said, I need a haircut and a color super bad, so no judging me. It's holiday season and I'm last, so no judging my roots and the lack of shape that I have going on. So I'm going to show you. I've already blow dried my hair, obviously. I use root lifter through the crown, and I use a blow dry cream that has heat protectant in it, because I think it's important to have extra heat protectant when using heat tools, which we all basically do. So the other thing I like to do right from the beginning is take like a volumizing powder and just kind of shake it through the top and just kind of rub it in at the scalp. You don't need a ton, but it just helps set the foundation. And also, these powders are actually really good for absorbing the oil. So I tend to get oily if I get oily at the scalp. So it's just another layer of oil protection there. I look super greasy in this light, but I'm not in real life. So what I do is like eyebrows, cheekbones, kind of where they're down, I start with. Now I keep losing my clips, so I'm just going to use my Invisibottle and ponytail it up for a second. Okay, so starting with this first layer, I think like no one actually shows you how to flat iron your hair, so there's a lot of people who don't get it and they don't understand it, and I think it's just assumed, well, you have a flat iron, you should learn you should just know. But I think that's where we're failing. So what I'm going to do, and because of the length of my hair, there's a lot of people wanting like the lob cut, which essentially is what mine is. It's a little bit A-line, but mostly just through the front. But because of where it hits on my shoulders, there's no way that that's going to stay under. It's just the way it is. It's always going to flip out a little bit because of where it hits. So I'm going to not fight it. So aside from these I'm going to start with like the back pieces, and I'm going to flat iron them with like the slightest flip on the ends, but hardly any at all. Same thing through the back. Just the slightest on the back too. Honestly, because it's going to happen, if I flip it under, I'll just be upset because it's in an hour, it'll be flipped out. So then on these front pieces, in order to gain the shape that I want, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right at the root, and it feels really natural, the same thing as when I did my curling video. It feels really natural to start here and go down, but then you're just pulling that hair flat. So I like to start right at the root and then grab it, and you kind of make like a circle shape. So your flat iron, I'll show you, goes at the root, and you turn it just slightly, like a really fat heart, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't want it to like go straight and then curl under super tight. So if you think about taking your flat iron and making it like a super fat heart, that's kind of where you get that shape where I don't have like a ton of curl under. It's just enough. So again, right at the root, taking that straight out, turning my flat iron, and then getting that shape there. Same thing on this side, right at the root, and just the slightest bend. Okay, makes sense? About right here, I like to put in just a little bit of backcombing to kind of start that base. Now about, same thing as in the curling video, about 1 inch from your head, holding that hair out, not down, because this feels pretty natural too. Up and out, and about 1 inch from your head, and keeping it in nice and tight, and keeping it there. Same thing on this side, up and out, about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, and just back combing nice and tight. See? Already. If your ends get kind of fuzzy, just kind of touch them up as you go. Now, I'll take down the next section, and I'm going to do it in 3, the same way that I curl my hair. So basically, if I were to have a mohawk, I'm going to section that up. And I just do it with my fingers. You don't have to make it perfect. Okay, so then you have your second layer down. The first thing I'm going to do is the same thing as when I curl it. I'm going to go through and back comb it. So, taking this section here, I'm going to hold it up, back comb right at the root, nice and tight. And I take a touchable hairspray. Do not use a firm hold hairspray with this. The hairspray that you use is pretty important. If you use a firm hold hairspray and then you put a flat iron into it like I'm going to show you, you're going to have super glue or fried hair. Just be careful. So a touchable light hold hairspray, holding your hair up, just like little spray on the roots. I like to let mine rest up if I can. That way it just keeps it while I do the rest. Same thing with this back section, which I'm going to do in 2 because I kind of have a lot of hair back there. So back combing straight up, right at the root, holding it up. And again, this doesn't take me as long to do when I don't have to teach people how to do it. So you kind of get in the groove. So same thing, back combing, a little hairspray, letting it cool or letting it dry would be more appropriate, I guess. Now, this side. Actually, I'm going to do this in 2 because I just have more hair. Okay, holding it up. Right at the root and really in tight. And letting it go. Okay, so then once you have your back combing in, you're going to stick with that same motion if you want, you know, a little bit more framed around your face. And so here's where the trick comes in, because you just sprayed that hairspray. You have that volume in there already. What I don't want you to do is to grab the hair and pull it down. So grab that section, holding it up and out, start right at the root, and start that fat heart shape. And you might have to like kind of double do a piece. Now this hairspray, honestly, it's really not even that hard or crunchy, and that's why it's important that you have a touchable hairspray, because, I mean, look at that. It holds. And then you can kind of just go through the ends and pull them where you want. Same thing with the back. I'm going to let this side down so it gets out of my way. So here are those 2 back sections that I did. Right at the root, clamping. I like to hold it out. Now the back is hard to turn and keep going, so I always just do the root first, and then I'll grab it, and then I'll come over here and finish. Just because it's easier. You can't really reach around the back. So the main thing there being, start at the root, just like when you're curling. Clamp and turn your iron, but keep it moving. You don't want your iron to ever stop on an area, and you don't go for more passes versus like going super, super, super slow. It should never, never, never stop. No matter, I don't care what level of heat protecting you have on it, it should never stop. So, and if you stop, that's like when you're getting crimps. And I know people that like clamp on and then turn, like it's got to be one motion. So holding that hair up and out, clamping, it's kind of like a C or like a super fat heart, like I said. Same thing here. Oh my gosh, don't judge my roots. They're bad. Okay. So then, pretty good volume already. I'm going to section off this like and work forward. So I do the very back, like, I don't know if you can see that, like an inch wide section, and that's what I'm going to work with next. Actually, we'll do 2 inches at once just so it can cool. So like 2 inches from the back of your head, and then I'm just going to pull my bangs out of the way here, where once again a clip would be handy. Okay, so having this back section, we're going to do the exact same process, but I want it to be like an inch wide section first. All right, so combing that straight up again, don't judge my roots. Taking your comb, making sure it's parallel, going straight in at about an inch, inch and a half, and just combing it down nice and tight. I see people who like do back combing like way up here, right? And I mean, sure, it works, but it's not effective. I mean, it comes out really fast. It looks like a rat's nest. So it's better to keep it in tight. Sorry, I gotta brush that out now. Keep it in tight and do a little bit smaller motions, holding your hair up and then really like locking it in. Same thing, small mist of hairspray and then letting it dry. And then I'm going to move to the section in front of it and repeat. And letting that dry. I dropped something. It's not important. Okay. So this back section, same thing. Taking the whole section, starting right at the base, right at the roots, turning it ever so slightly, and then pulling it through. See? And then letting it cool like that. Don't pull it straight. You can fix the ends at the very end. So starting at the base, heating it up, turning it, heating it up, turning it, and then all the way through. And let it cool. Okay, so this, I'm going to go one more section, then I'm going to do back, and it's going to be a smaller one. You have to kind of decide how much you wear back. Some people start, their back further up than others. This is about where I'm going to go. So if I keep those out of my eyes, same thing. Tight back combing. A little hairspray. Turn. Turn. Pull it through. Okay, now this front section, I am going to actually flat iron forward. Not this whole bit. I'm going to start like with my hairline. Rather small piece. I'm just going to get this out of the way for a sec. So with my hairline, I'm going to do the same thing with my flat iron, starting right at the base, and I'm going to take it out and then curve it in. So from the side, you're going to go out and create that C. It just rounds out the shape versus pulling it straight down in front of my face. So at the roots. and then leaving it. So you look like Cousin It for just a little bit. My sections get a little thicker as I move towards the back. Right at the roots, round it out. Right at the roots, round it out. You can fix the ends later. This is like all about the base. I'm gonna do this all as one section. It depends on how thick your hair is to, you know, determine how thick those sections should be. The biggest thing is right at the roots, rounding it out. Right at the roots, rounding it out. Okay, and then from there, you got to decide where you're going to part. So I always part a little bit off to this side, and then pull it back. So by doing that forward, we've already created this lift here, as versus if we went straight down, we wouldn't have any lift. I like to throw in a little extra flat ironing because I part my hair over to the left like this. I have more hair on the right, so I don't have as much problem getting shape through there, but I do like to take this little corner and I like to hold it up and just do a little bit at the base there and just go. And then I like to just kind of tweak them. As far as your backcombing, you can break it down with your fingers so that you definitely don't want to brush it because you're going to pull it all out. Sorry, I'm trying to like see in my mirror at the same time. It's proving impossible. Okay, so I just kind of go through, polish the ends, and then when I get over here, if it's feeling a little bit flatter, then you just take your section up. Really, really tight backcombing so that it doesn't look like a rat's nest. Oops, we took out that C. Okay, and so this backcombing and flat ironing on top of hairspray is not for the faint of heart. If you're going to leave it in for a couple days, don't brush your hair. I mean, brush the ends, but don't brush your hair and then go to sleep and then put it in again the next morning. I do tell my clients to brush their hair before they get in the shower. I have often, a lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, every time I backcomb it, my conditioner just can't get it out. Well, it's not your conditioner's job. You need to brush your hair before you get in the shower, but just, I mean, take your time and brush it out. Don't just rake through it because that's when you're going to create breakage. And, but yet at the same time, you can't just slap some product on it in the shower and expect it to take it out. Okay, so once I have it all, the volume where I want it, I just kind of spray it so that that stays. I like to hold these pieces away from my face because I have to go to work and I don't like when hair is in my eyes all day and I need a haircut super bad. So if I see any ends that are kind of fuzzy, I take a pomade or a clay or, you know, something like that. I like a clay better because clays are more matte finish sometimes, and like in the winter I think that clays are a little bit more moisturizing than like a taffy or different pomades. So I'll take like seriously a pea size amount and just pull it through. always tuck this side because I need to have hair behind my ear most days. So it's as simple as that. But the key is, same thing with the curling, is to create your volume at the base. So even when you're wearing a flatter style, you can have big hair. Cool? Did you guys get something from this? Like, was it helpful? Let me know. I have a blow drying, I'm just gonna go through and polish some of the ends. A blow drying tutorial that I'm trying to figure out how to do without you hearing my blow dryer for 20 minutes and me teaching. So once I figure that out, I'll do it. That's all I have for today. I hope you guys got something from this. Let me know if it helped. Thank you. Have a good day.